Mark and Rick had been friends since kindergarten. They were practically inseparable. Now they were both fresh out of college. It was time to enter the real world. First stop job hunting. They both applied to Titan Corp, a huge tech company. It was their dream job. Only problem? The competition was fierce. Mark and Rick studied their resumes one last time. They were both qualified, but so was everyone else here. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Mark was a nervous wreck. He kept adjusting his tie and wiping his sweaty palms. Rick, on the other hand, seemed calm. He was cracking jokes, trying to lighten the mood.
Dude, relax, we've got this.
Mark forced a smile.
Easy for you to say, Mr. Personality. I'm here with my straight A's and my perfect attendance record, and I still feel like I'm gonna puke.
Rick just laughed and gave him a reassuring pat on the back. A stern-looking woman with a clipboard called out names. Each name was followed by a collective sigh of relief or a groan of disappointment. Finally, it was Mark's turn. He took a deep breath and walked into the interview room. The interview panel consisted of 3 people. They all had the same serious expressions. It felt more like an interrogation than a job interview. Mark tried to focus on his accomplishments, his skills. He answered their questions with carefully crafted responses.
And why, Mr. Thompson, should we choose you for this position?
Mark launched into his prepared speech about his dedication, his work ethic. He emphasized his perfect GPA and his impressive internship experience. But the whole time, he felt like he was talking to a brick wall. There was no warmth, no encouragement in their eyes. As soon as Mark left the interview room, he felt deflated. He knew he had nailed the technical questions, but he hadn't exactly charmed his way into their hearts. He found Rick pacing outside, looking anxious.
How'd it go?
Mark just shook his head.
I don't know, man. I think I blew it.
He recounted the cold stares, the lack of positive feedback. Rick listened patiently, offering words of encouragement. But Mark could tell, even Rick was losing hope. Finally, it was Rick's turn. He walked into the interview room with his usual confidence.
Hi, good morning.
He shook hands with the interviewers, a genuine smile on his face. Rick's interview was like a breath of fresh air. He didn't shy away from their questions. He answered honestly, even cracking a joke or two.
You know, I once tried to debug a code for 3 days, only to realize it was a missing semicolon. Talk about a facepalm moment.
The interviewers, who had seemed so stoic with Mark, were now smiling and engaging in light banter with Rick. He talked about his experiences, his passion for technology, his desire to learn and grow. He didn't have Mark's perfect GPA or impressive list of internships. What he did have was charisma and a genuine enthusiasm that seemed to win over the room.
That's quite an interesting perspective, Rick. Tell us more about your project on AI.
Absolutely. I'm really passionate about how AI can revolutionize industries. My project focused on...
When Rick came out of the interview room, he looked both exhilarated and exhausted.
Man, that was something else. They actually laughed at my jokes.
He told Mark about the jokes, the shared laughter. It sounded like they had actually enjoyed his company. But as the days turned into weeks with no word from Titan Corp, their hope began to dwindle. They had both received other offers, less glamorous, less exciting, but still something.
Hey, at least we have something, right?
Maybe it wasn't meant to be, Mark said one day, staring out the window. They were back at their favorite coffee shop, the same one where they used to cram for exams.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. I actually enjoyed that interview.
Rick's usual optimism was a little dimmer than usual, but he still managed to find a silver lining. Then, one ordinary Tuesday morning, the impossible happened. Mark received an email. It was from Titan Corp. He had the job. He immediately called Rick, his voice shaking with excitement.
Dude, you won't believe this.
But before he could even finish the sentence, Rick interrupted him, his voice echoing Mark's excitement.
I got it too, man. I just got the email.
They couldn't believe it. Both of them, it felt surreal. Turns out, Titan Corp wasn't looking for just one perfect candidate. They were looking for a team. They saw something special in both Mark and Rick, something that complemented each other. From that day on, Mark and Rick knew that no matter what life threw their way, they would face it together. They had each other's backs, and that was all that mattered. Plus, they had a killer story to tell at every office party.
Can you believe it? We did it together. Yeah, man, this is just the beginning.